You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty. Good morning. What's up, Tux?
Good morning.
How's it going, man? Still got all your fingers?
Yep.
And toes?
Yep.
All right.
I was not the one setting off fireworks, but some of them were pretty close.
Oh, you did? You did a fireworks thing last night?
No, I was not. But I was pretty close to some of them.
Got it. Yeah. You attended. Nice. Was it a big display? Do your neighbors go?
Yeah, it was good. And then the neighborhoods all around were all doing them at the same time too. So there was just fireworks happening like everywhere.
We need like a Monero firework that just turns into a large Monero logo.
Is that the same thing in New York, or are they outlawed there?
They are outlawed. As last I can remember, unless they changed that. But they're everywhere. They're super prevalent.
Yeah. People get them anyway.
You can't sell them here. I don't know if it's illegal to actually use them. But yeah, most people it used to always be that you'd go to Pennsylvania to get fireworks. That was
Pennsylvania road trip.
Honestly, I don't even know what the latest rules are, but definitely, they're very prevalent. Like everybody's shooting them off.
Awesome. In true American
It's
fashion.
like Monero. It can't be stopped. People will use it. They'll find a way. I didn't see any fireworks sales on XMR Bazaar. Have seen a lot of other things though. Oh my god, we got the
fucking helicopter
Clipper, the helicopter that came up. That was why I spoke to the guy yesterday. Let me see if I can bring it up. I'm not on my normal computer here. Let's see if I can find it. I spoke to the person that posted it yesterday, actually. So it is a real posting. He's not the one selling it. It's a friend of his that's willing to sell it for Monero. So let me see. Just bring this up. I'm sure most of you have seen this already. I mean, that's success. That's what success looks like on XMR Bazaar.
I think it just went up in price too. It's 2,000.
Yeah, right. That's what I just noticed as well. That's interesting. It's cool that he has the price set in Monero.
Sure, if Surfer will be very happy.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Shortwave will buy it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Bawdy. Maybe Bawdy can jump on this. I'd be scared as hell learning how to fly a helicopter, airplane. Okay, helicopter. Those things are it's just a matter of time. You know what I'm saying? Like that engine.
Eventually, you will die.
Right? Eventually, something's gonna not work, and at that point, it's just a rock in the sky. There's no buoyancy there at all. Yeah, so that was super cool to see that pop up, and then actually we had another listing I'm excited about. Let's see. Just go through some of these here. The boosts are working very nice. People are using them, and they're doing the job. Definitely helps
get a lot of them.
Bring the good ones to the top. What am I looking for here? Okay, yeah, this Emily Miles has been posting some fantastic properties that you can buy and or rent in Italy. like pretty epic, super epic actually. And listing them for Monero. Here's one for 1,800 Monero, and yeah,
Wow,
it's freaking gorgeous in Tuscany. Honestly, I don't even want to show it because I think I want to try to buy this thing. But the Monero price, so now is a good time to be making moves like this, like those that are trying to acquire large chunks of Monero, because it is very enticing. This is the way you can grab some Monero. You put up something valuable for sale that people will be willing to let go of their valuable Monero for. Like this is like, look at this thing. I don't know if you could see it here. This picture up top shows the whole view. This is in Tuscany. I don't know, are you familiar with Tuscany? It's like in Italy, outside of Florence.
Yeah, I've never been to Italy, but it looks beautiful.
Beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful farmland right outside of like one of the most amazing cities in all of Europe. Florence, beautiful city. And it's like an hour outside of Florence, and then you're just in Tuscany, which is just like perfect for growing olives and tomatoes and raising grass-fed Italian buffaloes or whatever. It's a really nice living, good living, healthy food. So I don't know if you can see in this top photo, but it shows the whole compound. It's big. It's got like an olive grove, and then it's got a house on it, a guest house, a pool. It's pretty epic. So yeah, that came up on XMR Bazaar. Even just to go rent it.
Awesome.
Yeah, just to go.
Did they say how much to rent?
The rent was weird because I don't know. It didn't say like give a time length, so I guess they mean per month. Yeah, because it says like 31 Monero plus 17 for agreement. I don't know what that means. So it'll be almost 50 Monero. So 50 Monero. That's a lot. 50 Monero is what right now?
That is a lot. That's $1,500.
Yeah, $1,500. No, okay, that makes sense. So it's probably for a month. Yeah. So I guess it's for a month. That's not bad at all. What?
Oh wait, sorry, I totally.
No, 15,000, dude.
It's 15,000.
I'm sitting here like, wait, what? 50 Monero is 50.
So that's got to be for like a year,
maybe, or a month. It could be for a month, bro.
Oh my
like
gosh,
you go rent a
15,000
nice house in like the Hamptons.
It's not worth that much. You can buy it for just over $500,000 or rent it for $15,000.
I'm sure you can negotiate it. Shit, I don't know. Let's not even talk about it anymore. It's getting crazy. I see things like this pop up on XMR Bazaar. It gets me so excited. I mean, this is how we do it, guys. This is how we opt out. It's not about, oh, how am I going to sell my Monero when I need to sell it to turn it into cash or dollars. And you're going to use it and you're going to buy what you need. And that's how you're going to exit your Monero. It's beautiful. It's working. A helicopter safer than a plane. What? Vic is saying, how about when I listed my... Oh, yeah, of course, obviously. That was a great moment. But you know, Vic, it's like, we know you. You're part of the Monero. You're very much part of the Monero community, a known figure. This is somebody we don't even know who these people are at this point. They're putting up helicopters, beautiful pieces of land. So it feels like it's getting legs, right? We're getting some real legitimate listings here. We have over 3,000 users, 3,200 users. People have been donating. Thank you very much. Beautiful to see. Obviously, the money itself helps, but just the emotional, positive emotional impact that comes from receiving the donations is fantastic as well. Anarchio and Aaliyah and myself were all very happy to see the donations come in, and it's cool. People want to get the badges. Like, you see people talking about it, and we're getting nice thank yous. I believe in Monero supremacy. Somebody, an anonymous donor, sent 5 Monero. They don't even have an account on XMR Bazaar. They just sent 5 Monero. They didn't even get like a badge for it. So very nice to see. So yeah, all good things there. And then I guess Tux, you wanna announce the big news since last show? It's pretty cool that you pretty much accomplished it right in a week. I think you started it on last show, right?
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick.
Let me see if we do have somebody that will come on. Or Tux, I think you're our special guest this week. Let's make you the special guest. Tux, and also, guys, we want to make this a fast show. It's July 4th weekend. We can't be just online talking about liberty. We have to go experience it and live it. Otherwise, what are we doing here? So it's, hoping this won't be a 4-hour show. Maybe we'll actually make it only like a 2-hour show. That would be a first in a very long time. I think 3 is like our low end, but let's see if we can do a 2-hour show today. We got 103 live viewers. Guys, like and retweet. It was considering canceling it, but with so much going on, it's like it doesn't feel right. We gotta, we all gotta meet up here at least for 2 hours, talk about all the news. So, Tux, you could be our special guest if you want to run the segment, and we'll talk about what you achieved this week. Some big news in Monero adoption.
All right, let's do it.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Alrighty. So.
All right. Oh wait, actually, I want to bring this up. It's what's the name? Quadrio Chaleta. Thoughts on running a small competition for some updated artwork, banner art for the site? Yeah, actually, I've been thinking about that for sure. Actually, I was thinking maybe the logo itself, then the icon, and then the banner, the top banner. Maybe we'll run a separate contest for each. Sorry about that, but yeah, that's a good point. I might even try to do it this week. But yeah, Tux, what is the big news? And it somehow was controversial, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
the Monero community can make anything controversial, but I do get into it. I'll give you my take on it.
So, about a week ago. I went a week ago actually. Now, let me make this a little bit smaller. There we go.
I think it started on the show. I think you brought it up on last show. You're like, hey,
I did, yeah. Literally a week ago, I created a petition for Proton VPN specifically to add support for Monero, which fingers crossed that'll apply to the rest of Proton. But essentially, David Peterson, who is the general manager for Proton VPN, publicly stated if you could get a petition to 1,000 users, then we will put Monero support on our summer roadmap. And there wasn't an initial day goal, but a thought that Keith told me was that because he sort of mentioned before the week, he kept saying before the weekend, even though that wasn't a requirement. I'm assuming they're going to look at their roadmap again on Monday, and the goal was for this to be at 1,000 by then, so they can commit to shoving Monero in there. So, assuming David Peterson sticks to his word, which I think he will, he seems like he was very serious about it, and he seems very excited about this himself. Monero support will be added to Proton VPN. And once again, because of how the Proton account system works, I'm assuming that the other products will either add it themselves as well, or sort of it'll kind of just integrate naturally with the rest of the ecosystem, because when you add balance to your Proton account with like Bitcoin, it's on the whole Proton account, is my understanding. So but anyway, so that happened. So thank you to everyone who committed to, like, the main idea of, or the main statement at the bottom of the petition. I think some people maybe didn't see it, was that you're signing this petition with the assumption that you're going to be paying for a Proton product, or you already do, and you want to pay for one with Monero. That was kind of the goal, is because they're an organization. They're, the base company that owns Proton is a nonprofit, but Proton themselves are still sort of a business. So they need to see that there's a lot of people who are actually going to use this payment method if they're going to, spend the time integrating it. So that's what he wanted to see. I'm sure a lot of people signed it anyway, regardless of whether they use Proton or not. But in the end, it did reach over 1,000 signatures, and I had it declared victory. So it's very cool to see. People have been asking this for years and years and years, and I think that's why some people have a bad taste of like Proton right now, is because they have been asked a lot for years and years and years, and they didn't do it yet. And there are some people who are suspicious of them suddenly doing it now. Now, I just want to be clear that, like, Proton as a whole, like, not everyone is the same person on the organization, because there are various social media accounts from Proton that has said, joked about like adding like shit coins. Like, I think the Proton wallet specifically joked about adding shit coins or whatever. And there's been some unfavorable comments for like altcoins, but once again, it's not like somebody or one account on the Proton organization represents the entire organization. I think Andy Yen had said on a podcast with Seth last year that they weren't going to do it because of issues with auditors. Like, adding Bitcoin is already hard enough. I don't know how true that is today. I don't know like the details of that now. Presumably they have support for paying with a bunch of other cryptocurrencies, not just Bitcoin. But I will, I already got in contact with David Peterson just to ask and see what they were thinking about integrating, and, providing any help or suggestions with that if needed. So I'm curious to see what'll happen. I think they will do it, at least for Proton VPN. He seemed like he wanted it to happen. So cool to see. I can understand why some people were, a little bit suspicious, or
I think people were, number one, there's like, why are we begging some privacy tech company to accept our business when we're all a bunch of privacy tech users that want to use their product? And we're not asking them to accept Dogecoin. We're saying use the best tool for purposes of buying something like a Proton Mail subscription. And here we all are. We want to use our Monero for it. Just accept, like, we shouldn't have to beg for that. That should be,
that was kind of the main thing.
That should align with their business and their business model and like their ethos and what they're supposed to represent. So it's just weird that they're like reluctant to do this. I mean, what is the reluctance? Is it that they're using some like crazy way of accepting payments, that it's complicated? I mean, why
before they really did only have just Bitcoin Monero, and they had a custom integration with Bitcoin, which probably was, a lot of time on their end. Now I think they have, they might have I haven't looked in a while, but I've heard they have BitPay, which is that really terrible crypto payment processor. But of course, they don't have Monero, and BitPay is never going to have Monero.
Right. Okay. Well, it sounds like they just got to get their shit together then. Like, if they're this, like, they should be using BTC Pay Server, right? And accepting.
Well, that's kind of in maintenance for Monero right now, so even that's not really necessarily the option. So there are other options. Fix that.
Step up.
Yeah.
Whatever. I signed the petition, but I was reluctant when I signed it. I was like, this is stupid. And then like the whole idea that you're kind of like publicly announcing, right? It's like kind of antithetical to the privacy community. We're like, let's all put ourselves on a list.
Well, right? The thing is that you don't have to, nobody had to use a real email address or a real name. You
Yeah.
could have used an alias email. You could have used a fake name. So that
Yeah.
there was never any
I
like.
mean, I use the real one just because I'm a public
You're
persona,
public,
so it
yeah,
doesn't matter
exactly.
anyway. It's like,
And in
I get no
hindsight, if I were to
benefit.
do something like this again, I would probably find a service that was more privacy respecting. I just saw this interaction and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make this petition and
Well,
we're gonna
super cool. Yeah, and you got it done in a week, right? And now the onus is on them, right? So if they don't add Monero at this point, then we're all completely
Yes. So
legit and,
basically, it's
you
kind
know,
of a calling their bluff. Which, like,
Yeah.
once again, like I understand why people were suspicious, but what I don't quite understand, I definitely don't agree with, is the kind like there was a lot of hostility brought towards doing this because you're begging a for-profit company. It's like we're not at this
Yeah.
point. We're not begging. There was a written statement about an agreement to add it, which I don't know if that ever happened in the same way before. If you get a petition with X amount of people, so we made that happen. So now it's on David Peterson and his team to integrate support for Monero within Proton VPN. And if that doesn't happen, then at that point, there's no reason that I would even care to use Proton services anymore, just on the basis of them not fulfilling their part in that agreement. And then I wouldn't them anymore anyway. So it's on them. So really, it's ultimately a good thing, right? I see this as ultimately a good thing for multiple points, is because for one, we're calling their bluff. For two, we actually got a concrete written statement from a general manager of a Proton product saying they will add support. And then three, it's ultimately good for Monero adoption anyway. And then if they don't fall through with it, then that's just showing us once again that they aren't going to keep their word on that, and they actually, for whatever reason, can't do it.
And the fact that we actually got the 1,000 signatures shows that there's
in such a
energy
short
in
period of
there.
time,
Yeah.
even with all of the people that were like, don't want to use Pro, they should have added by now. Like, there are some reasons that people gave for not wanting to use Proton that were unrelated to the Monero aspect. It's because they say they're like a web honeypot or whatever. But there are a lot of people who are just holding personal grudges against Proton for not adding Monero by now, which I get it. They probably should have done it, but that is also a very loser and entitled mind, like a viewpoint, especially at this point when we're able to make it happen. Why would you hold this silly personal grudge when we're actually able to make it happen now, right? Like, it's able to be fulfilled finally. So maybe let it happen. So I don't know, but that's kind of my thoughts on that.
All right, well, we'll see what happens this week.
And if I can even make it even more like,
I'll probably just say it's going to take a while to add. Yes, we'll do it.
It might take a little while, but he also said, David Peterson also said himself, it was already on the roadmap. It just didn't have priority because once again, they're like I think that's where kind of people are like having a misunderstanding of like larger organizations and companies, that they have a priority list of things. And if this thing is not going to make them that much money, then it's just sometimes just not going to happen. Even if it matches the privacy ethos, it's just not going to happen. And why it didn't happen in the past, I don't know, because I know there was a user request on their user request form for like that had a few thousand upvotes for adding Monero years ago, and they never did it. I can't tell you why it didn't happen before, but it looks like it's happening now, at the very least for Proton VPN, with the hope that it will extend to the Proton account in general or the other products. So I just think it's ultimately a good thing for Monero, even if you don't like Proton or you disagree. If they don't fit in your privacy maximalist use case, I think it's ultimately a good thing anyway. I don't see anything wrong with them adding Monero support. So
yeah, 100%. Well, it's just the way it went down. It's annoying, but yeah, I think it's all good. It's great that you accomplished it and got 1,000 people, or appeared to have gotten 1,000 people to sign it. And now ball is in their court, right? Like, if they want to, and they will add it.
Yep.
They will add it. And it shows the power of the community, what can be done when we vote with our wallet, so to speak, right? We tell people, like, we'll bring our service to them. They'll adopt Monero. So definitely, a good strategy, right? We can apply it to other places, other things, and get more businesses to accept Monero. We got to get Proton Mail on XMR Bazaar once they officially agree. Actually, that is a way to currently buy your Proton Mail subscription via XMR Bazaar. People, I do see.
Oh yeah, with a gift card.
That service. They'll buy it for you or whatever.
That's almost like the way that, like, a lot of people were pointing to Denoda, but they don't accept Monero like directly. You have to buy a gift
card. It's not direct, right? You're buying a gift card. That's lame.
So it's kind of
the only thing with these, if anything, Proton Mail should also be like, and we'll hold some of our Monero in, that would be like impressive. Like, okay, now you guys are a private.
Yeah, I doubt that'll happen, but it's just the first step. It's the first step.
Monero Talk LLC is the micro strategy of Monero. All our reserves are in Monero. Everything. Obviously, sometimes
this is true
and other things. But yeah. So I'm sure we'll start to see more companies talking like that as well. Those moments are going to happen, guys. 100%. I know it feels crazy, but we'll go through that phase as well.
Yep.
I'm sure.
So, yeah. Thank you to everyone that signed and shared. There's a lot of big accounts that shared it to help it, help reach that number. It is surprising how many.
In the future, can we use like Kuno instead? And it's just like you just got to send like 0.001 Monero to represent.
That would definitely be potentially an anti-spam case. There was another open source option I saw, like a self-hostable option that you could use that was like privacy respecting for creating, like, it was more like almost like an open letter.
Yeah.
Not quite in the same way that change.org does petition, but there are definitely some different ways we could do it in the future, providing more privacy or having,
Yeah, maybe we could run it on XMR Bazaar. That could be a feature for how we add new Monero accepting, but we start like Kickstarters for them. That'd actually be kind of cool. Where people donate like small amount of Monero if you reach X amount.
Yeah, so here's the actual exchange. So this kind of started last week. I was asking, why doesn't Proton accept Monero by now? And then GNU Keith also spread that, he quote tweeted that, and basically was just, asking the same question and saying that they should add Monero support. And then David Peterson saw this and decided to make an agreement with this little 5-part messages here. So here's the deal. So Proton already takes payments via cash and prepaid debit cards. Bitcoin is supported directly in the other top 10 cryptocurrencies via third parties. Monero support has been on the roadmap for a while, but ultimately it comes down to relative priorities. We've got a long list of what people want out of Proton. So what is the most important thing for us to focus our attention on? The primary utility of crypto payments is enabling access to people in countries who are otherwise cut off from the global payment rewards. It is mainly about BTC, USDT, etc. Monero is, let's face it, a bit niche. I agree and disagree, but we get.
I think it fits into the category of cryptos that people would actually want to use for buying Proton Mail.
I think they will see an uptick in crypto payments just because of how many people actually want to use Monero. But this next reads, we get hundreds of demands for Monero support, but it always seems to be from the same few people and from the profile names. Most of them look like Monero promoters rather than prospective Proton users. Raises the question, if we did prioritize it, would anyone use it? We'll be doing it eventually anyway. But I'll make this commitment right now. If someone gets an online petition together with 1,000 people saying they switch to Proton VPN, if we supported Monero, then I guarantee that I'll get it crowbarred into the summer roadmap. So that was the actual.
I'll get it. What, crowbarred into the roadmap?
Crowbarred into the summer roadmap. Yep.
Oh, into the summer roadmap. All right. So it's got by the end of the summer.
Yep. Yeah. So that was a commitment basically this summer. So it's like a couple months, and of course, part of the petition was so that they could see how many they wanted to see in a short period of time how many people actually wanted to use XMR, use Monero to pay for Proton products, and that was kind of the goal. And I know we've had other stuff in the past, but I think this was more effective at conveying that there is like an actual demand for Monero on Proton because it happened in such a short period of time and it was consolidated to a specific agreement. So I think it's effective in that way. instead of having like a 8-year-old feature request that has, a few thousand votes over the course of, 8 years. We consolidated 1,000 petition signing, assuming they're all legit, into a week. So that says something, right?
Well done, Tux. Well done. Let us know who your next target is. I say we move it along at this point. We got Bawdy. He's ready to do price. And then Vince, I did jump on. He's the guy that I was going to bring up as a guest. So maybe actually we do another, boy, here we go. 3-hour show. So yeah, let's have Bawdy go. See if Tony's good by then. And then if the second guest wants to jump up, we can do that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the price report.
Yeah.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
All right, Bawdy GM.
Good morning. Bawdy there. Hello. I don't think Bawdy's
his voice is initializing.
Booting up, loading.
How's it go, man?
It's good. Good work, Tux. It's fucking awesome, man. We've I know everyone is like, no, you can't beg the corporate. Like, listen, Monero's money. If you want Monero to be money, then the non-privacy honeypots have to accept it as much as the privacy respecting Chad email servers.
And I feel like this was such an easy win too, because people have been asking for years, and no team engaged in this way like the Proton VPN general manager did. So I'm like, this is an easy win, really.
Yeah, seriously.
Good stuff.
I even signed the petition. The fact we hit 1,000 in a week on a petition site that's like not privacy respecting at all.
Yeah.
I signed it with an email, that they know who I am or whatever, because I used it a long time ago in the day, back in the day. And then my real name popped up. I was like, wait, motherfucker. It's like, well, too late now.
Yeah, see, that was next time I'll not change that org. I didn't realize how it's kind of not the most privacy respecting, but it doesn't ask for like your phone number. That could be worse.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, like anyone that wants to know my real name is it's not going to be that hard to find out. Like it's pretty easy to figure out.
OPSEC low.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, come on, you're on a podcast. I've shown my face. My voice is recognizable. Like even people at the Monerotopia are like, "Wait, you're Bawdy, aren't you?" Like, shit. Just trying to stay low. Didn't want anyone to know.
Yeah, you're out there. not as much as me, but you're out there.
Yeah, it's over.
Bawdy, what'd you think the helicopter, man?
It's awesome, man. If I flew helicopters, I would probably jump on it. How much are they selling it for?
That's a good question. I think it was like 1,800 Monero. 1,800.
I guess that's about $500,000.
Oh, 2,000. Yeah, 2,000 Monero.
I don't know what the market for helicopters is. You can get into an airplane for. It won't be a great airplane, but you can get into one that'll get you around a little bit for like 150, 100 pretty easily. Wow. If you're willing to spend 300,
kind of like boats, right? It's like they're like if you're willing to buy used, I imagine you can get your hands on some nice ones.
Yeah, I mean pretty much everyone does buy used when it comes to airplane. Like so few people are going to actually go buy like a brand new airplane. I mean, you might, but you're probably going to be loaded. If you do, you're very likely going to have a lot of money.
This thing is like so minimalistic, though. I love it. It's very bare bones.
Yeah, it doesn't have any glass in there. There's no modern avionics. I mean, it's fine, I suppose. You can pull your cell phone out.
I don't know. It feels like you're like flying a lawnmower or something. That's wild.
Yeah. I'm not much of a. It's probably an irrational fear, but I'm not much for helicopters personally. I'm scared of them. It's a fear thing. I mean, I know you got the auto rotation, but I don't know. I'll take a glider over auto rotation any day.
What's the auto?
If it chooses for like any reason at all, you're just falling out of the sky.
So auto rotation is so believe it or not, like when you push the engine power, you're moving something called collective, which changes the angle of the blades, and changing that angle increases your lift. So you don't actually like increase to super fast RPMs, to get off the ground in a helicopter. You push the collective. And so if you lose your engine, you're going to start dropping, but it's not a problem. You're going to auto rotate all the way down, which means you're basically using that rotation of the blade to somewhat slow your descent. And then at the last second, they call it dumping your collective, which basically just means you turn the angle of the blades way up to get suddenly that moment that you can get all this extra resistance because your blades already have this momentum. So you can turn the blade up and you're going to get a little bit of lift right before you hit the ground, and you time it right, and then you can actually put the thing on the ground without like hurting anyone or hurting yourself. The thing that kills people in helicopters is well, in all aircraft, if you get inverted on accident because you're in the weather. But the thing in helicopters, if you clip that tail rotor on anything and you're like 30 feet up, like there's no time to auto rotate, and you have to immediately pull the power and get on the ground, because once you clip that tail rotor and you don't have that pressure to act against the inertia or whatever, I don't know what the technical term is, but to act against that rotation, like you're just spinning, and you're done. Like you have to get on the ground. So anyways, I just don't trust helicopters. Probably maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, but people claim that that's the auto rotator is technically like safer than just gliding a plane. I see people making that comment. I find that hard to believe.
It just everything depends. If you're in I would probably take my chances in a helicopter on an engine loss if I was over a crowded city, because you can at least go straight down and you can find a spot to put it down. It's really hard to land an airplane in a crowded city in a dense populated area. You have to try and hit the road. You're going to clip a power line. The wing's going to burst into flames. Or if there's trees everywhere, then you got to land in the trees, or if there's a lot of terrain. So yeah, I mean, there definitely are cases where engine loss in helicopters is better than airplane. You have more options in airplane, I believe, though.
I mean, forget Monero van. We need the Monero helicopter flying around, throwing stickers out the window.
That thing would look sick with a Monero logo on it. Seriously.
Right? Well,
it is a nice looking helicopter. I'll be honest. Sleek.
Helicopter too dangerous. I'd take a plane. Yeah, I agree. That's what we're all saying. I agree. All right, buddy. Take it away, man.
All right. Let's see. We got the price here. Going to talk about some price. Let me get my I'm always trying to get this thing just right. There we go. Okay. So we haven't really done too much. A little bit of movement towards the upside for Monero price over the past week. Kind of like, again, consolidating with the sort of upward bias. Let's see, waiting on that wave magic to load. I guess this looks fine. Like I said last week, in general, if we expect the rest of the market to go up, and I do at this point, I expect Monero to follow with it. So we did see Bitcoin. Wait, what is this? Oh, wrong one. We did see Bitcoin make its way towards the upside, right? We did see Bitcoin manage to consolidate, moving towards the upside. It still, hasn't set new all-time highs, but this is the kind of consolidation that you want to see. This is the kind of action that you want to see to expect, to believe that that new highs are on the table. So I do think that there is still a reasonably solid chance, a much higher chance that Bitcoin and crypto and risk in general is ready to pounce. Stocks have been running already. Stocks are already at new all-time highs. Like we talked about last week, we're kind of witnessing there. It seems like they've been able to finagle the markets by like putting it on the drama coaster of saying, oh, things are really bad. Oh, actually, no, we removed the bad. So don't worry, or it's not as bad as we thought, right? They're juicing the markets. They're squeezing the markets higher and higher. And they're just, I don't know, they're just able to do it. And like I said, the feels, for the past few weeks, I've kind of been like, hey, the feels, I don't necessarily have the best technical indicators to tell you where the market's going to go, but the feels and the news cycle and everything with the way that, like, again, just the way it feels, right? The intuition of the market psychology has been, hey, upside. People don't want to see any macro crash. They don't want to hear any macro crash. And that's they've been able to move the markets higher. There wasn't really World War III. We were kind of almost promised World War III. It didn't happen. I don't know. That's good though. That's a good thing, right? Like, good that we don't have war. We don't want war. Fuck war. And fuck the people that prosecute war. Okay. So yeah, with Monero here, I guess this thing's going to go up. We just got to wait a little bit longer. I mean, remember, Monero tends to move counter-cyclically to the market. It tends to go in starts and fits. When we get price action, usually it's counter-cyclically to the rest of crypto and Bitcoin. So currently, I guess overall, Monero has still kind of held flat relative to Bitcoin. We're still sort of hanging out at these bands. Again, I don't really super duper trust necessarily all the time the TA when it comes to XMR BTC. But maybe let's try and draw a line here. Does that make sense? I guess that line could make sense. Let me change the color there. So maybe like this is support right here, but you'd have said last week, hey, that was support right there, right? If you try to go off of lines, you would have said that. So I don't know. Honestly, this feels a little bit like breakdown. This feels like if this wanted to be support and then go to the upside on XMR BTC, I feel like it kind of should have already held, right? This support, you don't want to be back in here in this zone like, oh, we're going to break out and then not really, and then come back down. So technically, that's not great price action. And it would make sense if we expect markets to pump and BTC is about to follow, break out to new all-time highs. I do kind of expect that, Monero's going to lag behind there. That's just how that happens, right? It's rare to see Monero pumping alongside with BTC. So that's just the unfortunate truth. It's the horrible reality of these markets. But maybe we can look at Monero versus Ethereum. This chart is much more, it's nicer to look at for everyone that loves privacy and hates pre-mines and stuff like that. So yeah, it looks, kind of the same. We're basically, we've made this big rebound after all the bullshit, the induced bullshit. We've made this big rebound. We're actually, like, we are now at, and not only at the bear market highs relative to Ethereum. So the bear market highs, I know that sounds weird, but Monero performing well in the bear market, right? Performing relatively better. So our relative performance to ETH in the bear market, was back here in 2022. And we are at that same level. So that's actually, that's a really good sign. ETH is a major player. Like, no matter what you want to be angry about with ETH, be madder at Tron, right? Be madder at Justin Sun, and be the most mad at Tether, even though everybody uses it, unfortunately. Guilty. So anyways, yeah, looking good, looking like staying up here around this level and consolidating at this level is a good indication that maybe Monero could go higher. The TA would suggest, with this kind of TA structure, unless there's fundamental reasons for this chart to continuously be bearish, and I don't think that's the case, we would expect eventually for Monero to make it back up to this level right there. But that's I'm not calling for that next week or anything. Nothing here, nothing to see with the XMR price divergences. XMR versus gold, looking pretty good, I guess, right? Looking better than we were down here. So overall, this chart looks like a consolidating range, right? This chart looks like, maybe something going, into the future where volatility is slightly constrained for some period of time before a breakout one way or the other. I don't know which one you want more, gold or XMR. Probably I wish for XMR to break out more because gold has enough market cap. Gold has plenty of market cap. Monero needs market cap now. Okay, so let's go. We kind of looked at BTC already. Let's see who's performing the best. Tron. Oh, TRX. We were just hating on Tron. And then Bitcoin Cash still doing up here. Bitcoin itself actually performing at the top. Monero has kind of had some general malaise when it comes relative to the rest of the price action on the rest of coins. Everything else actually seems to be slightly moving up for the past week or so, and Monero seems to be moving slightly down relative to its Z-scores. So yeah, again, unsurprising. There seems to be new liquidity setting up, and they're not going to push that to Monero. Why would they, right? So yeah, okay, sure, whatever. We'll get some price action afterwards. It'll just take a delay. It could be a few weeks, right? Maybe a month. We've seen it over and over again. If there's generally real, like genuinely buying pressure in these markets, Monero will follow suit. It's just a matter of time. Liquidity does spill over. So taking a look at Bitcoin dominance, hasn't changed much. It's just been on a steady march, guys. I don't know. I can't promise whenever this thing will stop. We're also, here's another problem. One thing the maxis were right about, it wasn't the network effects, but they were right about the price in a lot of ways, that it was going to get, Bitcoin was going to get the focus, and it did. It got BlackRock's focus, right? And so now the government has decided to have their reserves, and although they did have crypto reserves, so I don't know. It does seem like a lot of shitcoins are dying, and so that could be the motivation for this chart. Only a few will survive, right? There won't be the one, but a few will survive, and Monero's one of them. Ethereum's another one, probably Tron. Anything that Tether is significantly on is going to survive. Sol, no matter how much you hate Sol, there will always be a market for degenerate bullshit, and Sol meets that market. In fact, Ethereum would have a vastly higher market cap right now if it weren't for Sol. So if any Ethereum bros out there really actually like Ethereum and wonder where their price went, it went to Sol. That's what happened, and that was actually a really long-term miss on my part for years, and it took me a couple years to understand that was happening. I guess because I'm blind to shitcoins, guys, or I'm blind to meme coins. Like, that's just, it's not in my mental model, and that's the market. But the market shows you where you're blind, right? Shows you where you didn't think about stuff, and I just underestimated the meme coin potential, and that Sol was going to be that thing. So, all right. At least we have at least that's my explanation. At least that's my excuse. All right, so we're looking here at the Bitcoin versus the NASDAQ in Q1, which is actually futures on NASDAQ, because we get more complete price history here. And NASDAQ has been performing quite well, but the thing is, it marches higher, inevitably higher over long time frames and slowly but surely, whereas Bitcoin just makes these massive, massive gains. And so actually, despite the fact that the stock markets have been outperforming Bitcoin, you would hardly be able to say that you can see that on this chart. It's like, Bitcoin actually looks like it set new all-time highs last month, right? It set new all-time highs against the NASDAQ last month. And then, it's had a pullback, right? We had the macro crash. We didn't have, no, that wasn't this. That wasn't last month. But anyway, stock markets have been pumping, right? And Bitcoin has been kind of just, not really getting it up lately. But, this chart does look bullish. So probably this chart's going to make a new higher. It doesn't look like unequivocally bullish. It looks like mildly bullish, right? So, which would kind of make sense, diminishing returns and all. So why don't we just go ahead and take a look at the NASDAQ directly. Actually, you know what? Let's check some of the XMR chats. We have a shortwave surfer XMR chat. Tux, if you want to put that on the screen. Shortwave surfer tipped 10 cents, or however much that is in a Monero point. Not something Monero. The helicopter was around. The helicopter was around 1,800 XMR. If it's 2,000 now, that's a price rise. If it's 2,000 now, that's a price rise. I don't think I understand. I think I'm just retarded. I'm sure
it was 1,800 XMR when it was first posted, and they bumped it up to 2,000 XMR.
Oh, okay. I missed that. Got it. Okay. I thought it was. Okay. And then also Shortwave Surfer tipped 10 cents. He says, Bawdy, why use USDT when DAI can't be frozen? Is that still the case? Can DAI still not be frozen? The guy that made DAI suicided under suspicious circumstances, or was murdered under suspicious circumstances in Puerto Rico after saying that he that they were after him, right? After saying that his girlfriend was an agent and that they were it was a crazy story. He posted all this shit, and then he turned up dead in the ocean in Puerto Rico. So yeah, that was the guy that made DAI. They backed their DAI with 60%, I think, USDC. Some changes were made, and I haven't kept up with it regarding DAI. I think it's still the case overall that your individual die can't be frozen, right? They could obviously the stable coins by which it's backed, USDC, USDT, and a few others, that can be frozen by the issuers, even though it's in a contract. But yeah, I don't think they can freeze your die, but there's changes that are coming to die, that have come to die. I'm not quite sure what they are. I sort of lost track of all that. So far, they haven't really done too much work to seize or freeze people's Tether or USDC. I'm sure they would if you were, persona non grata. Okay, we have HBS on YouTube says Die's contract is not upgradable, so yes, it's still unfrozeable. Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks, guys, for keeping me updated on that. I guess I should stay updated. I mean, I have some Die, don't get me wrong. All right, anyways. Yeah, I mean, definitely recommend using Die. And believe it or not, in a lot of cases, Die has more liquidity on certain shitcoin pairs and ERC20 tokens on Ethereum. So, yeah, looking here at the NASDAQ, you can see we had a big week. Things just decided to go bigly for the past 2 weeks, up 5%, actually more, 6% in the past, about 2 weeks. So after Iran was not going to be World War III, and now they've got this big, beautiful bill, which implies, big, beautiful liquidity coming into the markets. I think people just, they believe, right? They're believers, and there's more liquidity, and also the people that speculate, and all the firms, like everybody just knows, right? And also the M2 money supply has been growing this whole time. And unfortunately, we don't have a good M2 money supply. I think you have to be on Bloomberg Terminal or something that's like tens of thousands of dollars a year. The M2 money supply continues to grow. This chart is delayed, unfortunately. I wish that I had a chart. Maybe I should just bite the bullet, spend the time figuring out how to estimate M2 money supply on my own and see if I can pull in the statistics to estimate it here and have my own estimation, because it's scary, guys, how well, if the M2 money is growing, then the market's going to pump. It's really that simple. So Bitcoin's about to go up. Everything's about to go up because the M2 money supply, the estimated version of this chart, that keeps up with real time, that M2 has continued growing. So it doesn't even matter if the Fed has been selling off their balance sheet. So that liquidity goes somewhere, and it's just going to keep going into markets, guys. So that's what we're looking at here. And until something super negative duper happens, the Trump tariff strike down gets overturned at the appellate court, which is supposed to happen here in the coming weeks in July. If they continue to say that the Trump tariffs are struck down, then they will actually get removed. And that will be a big positive for the market as well. If they put the tariffs in place, then maybe we'll have to revisit and say, hey, macro crash could be back on. But for now, macro crash scare, 20% was enough for the market, 20% down for stocks. And then they said, fuck it, Liberation Day, we just don't need that much liberation. Stop liberating us so hard, Daddy. And so he did. Daddy actually came back and said, you know what? I won't liberate you as hard as you thought you were going to get liberated, and I'll just let the markets go up instead. So that's kind of what happened there. Don't worry about it, right? We still have these patterns, right? I'm still noticing the patterns of, how things if we, J-Powell says they're going to start lowering rates again at some point this year. So if this keeps going, maybe it just, I don't know, they could just extend and pretend, right? That's one of the things that they do. But ultimately, this thing, the pattern is for this thing to come to the downside eventually. And we're going to see, the next crash thingy happening. But for now, not a problem, right? For now, don't even worry about it. Forget about it, guys. This whole macro crash thing, that was enough, apparently. So we'll just put that on hold, right? We'll put that on the shelf for now. We can always pull that back off the shelf if we need to. So let's see. We got the reverse repos here. If we're pivoting here to the macro. We got the reverse repos, and this does seem to me again, it wants to go to the upside, right? So I got to think more about this. Bonds are tricky. They have these feedback and feed forward mechanisms. They can and it's not a bond. I know reverse repos are not bonds, but they act like bonds in a way. But yeah, we've got kind of this uptrend that is now sort of sustained, very mild, but we are now starting to break out of the lower standard deviation bands, right? These bands are important, and seeing this guy right here, seeing that spike, again, maybe this thing could just come down here and do that. This could just be a nothing chart, right? A nothing burger chart. But, if we see this, that could indicate problems or troubles. It just, if anything, it indicates people don't want to buy long-term bonds. They want the short-term overnight rate. Usually that happens, because of the yield curve inversion, which is significantly corrected now. So Maybe that's just kind of nothing. You know, it could just be sometimes institutions need to park some extra money in a place and they want to. It could be that they moved out of bonds, right? It could be that some institutions are selling bonds and they're pivoting into short-term rates, waiting for, you know, trying to decide what they want to buy, what kind of things they want to purchase on the market, what kinds of risk they would like to take. So yeah, maybe that's an explanation there. Again, I'm not super convinced about how relevant the reverse repos are to us at this moment for really being able to divine much about the markets, right? They're relevant in context, you know, just keep it in your mind. If you're not sure about something, you still look at it, right? You say, hey, this was important at one point. Let's keep looking at it. Maybe we don't have any clear things to, clear conclusions to draw from it, but you know, it's a data point. Keep it in your mind. Okay, gold is doing fine. Gold is consolidating here at the top side, 3,300. Okay, we have the peak here at 3,500. It's, guys, if we're setting this macro crash idea on the shelf and markets are pumping here, then the pattern is very clear. Like what has happened in the past has now happened. And if we think that markets could continue going up here for the next, let's just say year or so, I don't know. I'm not saying that's my conclusion here. I'm just saying, let's hypothetically pretend that for a moment. What happened? Gold ran first, as it always does, made some nice big high. It hit exactly the levels that some of my statistics that I look at. This purple line here is an incredible level. It just works. I don't know why, it just does. We hit that level. Now gold is flat and sideways as markets continue to run. It would be entirely unsurprising if that was the top, guys. This would be entirely unsurprising if gold tops here and then does this over long periods of time. You just need to know that in my mind, that is a very significant possibility. I'm not necessarily convinced it has to be, because my hopium and my gold bags don't want that to be the case, right? So I want to keep holding on. I don't want to stop believing, but I mean, if I'm just going strictly off patterns, that's the pattern, guys. We hit the top. Gold is basically topped. I still like the way the price action is consolidating, to be honest. Like, you still have this big uptrend. You're still consolidating in this rising triangle. Like, if gold does that, if gold breaks this purple line right here, that will be a sign to me that inflation is probably looming on the horizon. It won't hit us yet, but I mean, you just can't run financials continuously and repeatedly and then expect that inflation isn't going to catch up to you at some point. And that's what happened with the C word. So, all right. Anyways, I hope that gold does break my models, right? All your models are going to be broken, bro. I hope so. I really genuinely hope so with gold here. Okay. Let's see. Global liquidity, nothing important happened there. oil, obviously. How could we forget oil? Yeah, they did the Iran thing. They got the oil up. Yeah, it came back down, but it's still higher than it was. So Iran was, honestly, guys, it was probably a market thing. Hey, we could do some insider trading on the news. We can get the oil price up. Hell, maybe even Iran likes it, right? Maybe like, hey, could you just like bomb us like a little bit? Because we also sell oil, and if the oil price goes up, like for all we know, guys, literally that could have happened. I actually, like, don't get me wrong, I don't see it as a monolithic entity out there that's controlling the entire globe, right? It's not the Jays. It's not the Chinese either. These are psychopaths, and they have overlapping interests and sometimes strange bedfellows. And so they are fighting for control and power. You can bet your ass that the ancient Chinese dynasties, as they are, they're generational, I don't know, they're kids today, right? Like, those guys don't want to give up their power, and they don't want to just accept United States rule over them. And neither do the Russian oligarchs, neither do the big finance bros, the deep state of the United States. Like, none of these guys want to be like, oh yeah, sure, you can have all the power and control the world. So they fight with each other. Of course they do, but they also cooperate where necessary, right? It's weird that I have to even say that. Like, don't get locked into a monolithic mindset that says like, oh, everything's controlled. It's not, right? That's just a psyop. Anyways, so it's very possible that Iran even liked the bombing. They're like, it's fine, bomb some old underground bunkers, whatever. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but hey, I'm just speculating out here. I'm just like trying to come up with some entertaining possibilities, because a better oil price, certainly it's going to help Iran's economy, right? I don't know about getting bombed all the time, but getting bombed by Israel, but maybe that doesn't help their economy, but at least the oil price helped them a little bit, I'm sure. So yeah, anyways, oil sitting here. I don't know. It still looks kind of anemic after all's been said and done. It still doesn't look like super, super good, but I guess it's fine. It's kind of just hanging out here at these lows. And oil has been at these lows here for like over a year. So it's probably not a problem. Especially if we go back, let's go to the weekly. Right? Especially if you go backwards a little bit, like it's not a huge deal, right? Obviously, this was when the economy caught a cold and the price of oil went negative, but overall, like this isn't a terrible place for oil price. This is a little bit low considering the inflation, right? If this was an inflation adjusted chart, this would look a little bit different. Anyways, yeah. So I guess that's oil. That's oil for you guys. I guess I don't have any like special super duper insightful conclusions for you today, but. Let's see. Oh, Monero hash rate's been pretty cool. We've it's been slowly, steadily climbing towards the top side. So that was good. Interesting. We had the launch. We assumed that that Tari was a big factor there. Had a little bit of pullback, but now it seems to be recovering to the top side. So we're above 5 gigas now. We're holding above 5 gigas. This has been the case for like 2 months, pretty much on average, at least. That's good, right? That's really good. So we need more hash rate. I want to see. I don't know, let's just say 8x more hash rate at this point, right? I would love to see 8x more hash rate. That puts us significantly beyond. It's really hard to attack the network via hash rate with a 10x hash rate, at 40 giga hashes or whatever. That's going to be way harder to attack the network. So I definitely would want to see that. I guess, did we miss the privacy coins? Yeah, we did miss the privacy coins. Honestly, I don't even know why we cover them. There's just nothing going on here. Yeah, there's nothing ever happens in privacy coins. Whoa. Okay, so I guess Xano taking a breather. This looks like constraining volatility, right? These bands are becoming stronger. Price is staying within certain bounds, and it seems to be setting higher lows and lower highs. And probably the name of the game on Xano here is consolidation for some period of time. Maybe we can figure out when it's going to pump again. I probably won't tell you though, because you'll have to make your own decisions. I'm not going to be the reason that Xano pumps. I don't think. Maybe we're moving beyond that here at this point. I don't know. Does seem kind of low liquidity coin though to me. Firo. I don't know. I probably never pronounced it correctly. Also flat, doing nothing. Pirate Chain. Flat, doing nothing. All right, nothing has changed since last week. Pirate Chain tends to not do much. It tends to just be flat, and then occasionally it'll get a pump. Zcash hasn't done much either. Seems to be consolidating slightly towards the downside, if anything, right? It seems to be like slightly consolidating downwards as Bitcoin and Monero seems to be consolidating upwards. Okay. Not even going to look at the Dcoin. Grin doing something. Grin smiling at price here. That's 270%. Holy shit. Wow, man, if you'd have got in here. What? Really? It's a weekly? Let's go to the daily. Dang, man, all you had to do is buy a month ago for 3.5x gain. Holy crap, guys. All right. I don't know where to get Grin. It's probably too late. I don't buy into things that pump. I'd get in before, right? That's the like that just limits your risk. If you get in before and it dies, you're like, oh well. But if you get in before the pump and then it pumps, you're like, all right, sweet, I got gains. And like if you get in now, like your risk your risk profile is just drastically increased when you chase into pumps. Yeah, it can work. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying that your risk profile increases as you do that. And for managing your money, right? So there's a difference between trading and managing your money. If you're trading, then you might chase into pumps sometimes, depending on the conditions. But if you're managing your money, you don't typically want to chase into pumps. The only pumps you should ever chase into are pretty much the stock market, and sometimes Bitcoin, right? Especially if there's new liquidity flowing. But you just don't chase into pumps with your main stack, with your investment stack. That's not how you manage your money. You just occasionally, 0 to a few times a year, you move money around. When you get imbalanced, you reallocate, you rebalance. And then you look for little opportunities, right? The housing market crashed, buy a house, right? Everything is giddy, sell something, right? Sell into some more stable asset. Gold has been anemic for a decade, buy gold, right? Like that's kind of how you got to look at that. You make big headline or broad decisions. So, okay, I don't think I have anything else. Let's check the questions one more time here. Russian bourgeoisie, no threat to the world. No, that's true. Yeah, they're not. They're just like Russia. Russia is cool in concept, but so this is Negros on YouTube. He said the Russian bourgeoisie is no threat to the world. Yeah, I mean Russia is cool as a concept, and like a lot of their mentalities are pretty cool, and the Russians that I know are all pretty fucking cool. But as a power, you know, they got the nuclear arsenal, but they don't really have that much power projection. The one thing they can do is send a lot of dudes to die for whatever battle that they want to engage in the moment. Like they've lost nearly 500,000 people. Half a million young men have lost their lives in Ukraine fighting on Russia's behalf. And Ukraine has lower losses, but as a percentage of their population, it's higher. And then Russia has another 500 million casualties, you know, guys that didn't die, but you know, were wounded or whatever. So that's a lot, right? It's a fuckload, right? Russia only has like 130 million people or something like that, 150 million people. So, but yeah, Russia is not really, their bourgeoisie is not a threat to the world. They're not going to take over anytime soon. But at the same time, you know, it seems like, hey, they don't want to be conquered either. So anyways, yeah, I think that's all. Tux, if you want to, Doug,
All
if you want to come back on.
Thank you as always, Bawdy.
Sure thing.
Yeah, with that being said, I guess we'll go ahead and move into. I think we have a second guest.
No, the second guest is going to pass.
Okay.
So we'll save him for another week, which is good. So we could stick to having a quick pace show today. So yeah, I would jump into news if Tony's ready.
All right. Yeah, I see Tony backstage. Let's go ahead and jump to the news. Thank you so much, Bawdy.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Great. Thank you, Bawdy. Appreciate it.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
Tony.
Hey guys, happy weekend.
Happy weekend, man. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th. Did you guys do anything?
Yeah, I've been with family. I'm still with family right now. I'll be here all weekend. You know, the quintessential 4th of July. Pool,
Well,
barbecue,
yeah,
beach, fireworks.
nice. Well, you have a kid now, so I guess you can't really go out in the craziness in the public. You need to sit more.
No, not that I'd want to anyway.
Yeah.
Although
yeah,
it is fun to go
very hectic.
see it's fun to see the fireworks in New York City. That is quite the scene. They put on an amazing
for sure.
show in New York City.
For sure.
Yeah.
Was it packed? Probably was packed for sure.
This year, I'm sure it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
It wasn't as bad in Florida because we were expecting a lot of rain. Like the day before, it was 90% chance, and then the day off, it went to 20%, and it was beautiful, which is crazy. And so it wasn't a lot of people, which was perfect.
Nice.
So that was nice.
Yeah, man. All good, and yeah, we're trying to make it a somewhat fast show today, so we can get back to enjoying the 4th of July weekend.
Oh,
So yeah, Tony, take it away. I don't know. I know I sent you a bunch of links. You might have a few more. As always, there every week seems to be a big news week.
Yeah, we got good stuff. Yep. At the end, I know you gave me some stuff like on the big beautiful bill. I don't have much to add on that. Like, so if you want to add more on that, but we have some good stuff.
Yeah. Somebody
into
put
it.
up people were putting up some good posts about how there's like a lot of pro surveillance tech type things in that bill as well. Derek Bros is pointing that out, but other than that, I don't think there's much to talk about with regards to the bill.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny
As Tux would say, it is what it is. You know, it is what it is.
It's passed, it's done. But it was funny because I was reading what Ray Dalio said, and then I was scrolling in the comment section to see if there's anything else. And then all I see somebody say, "Hey, Grog, explain this to a 10-year-old." And Grog gave a 10-year-old explanation of what Ray Dalio said about the economy and projections. So it's funny. Yeah. But
I mean, it's pretty basic stuff. We're spending money we don't have, you know, and
we're taking in less. Yeah, it's not good. It's kind of, this year was interesting because I've had some views about politics that I definitely do not have anymore. It just completely changed. So now I'm really, really kind of just careful about what I even talk because I don't know, things can change I don't know.
Yeah, and by the time you think you figured it out, you'll be dead. That's the way the system works. By the time you finally have the wisdom to understand what's going on, the game is over.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Takes a lifetime.
You just keep finding connections. Like, and I'm not gonna get too much into this, but for example, I used to kind of like Viktor Orban at some point, the Prime Minister of Hungary, and I played it on the show. But then I started reading a book and like looking into him more, and then I learned about that he's actually pretty much a Russian puppet. It's crazy. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into it. But
really?
Stuff like that. Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, let's get into what we have today. We have really good stuff. And also, if you guys have any links, if you want to talk about anything, I'm watching the YouTube chat. So I'll pay attention to that too. Or if you guys want to say anything. So, and give a like, because we only have 4 likes, guys. It definitely helps. Share. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're new, welcome. But yeah, so let's
somebody's bringing this up, and I'm pretty sure I have it in the news. This is definitely something we want to touch on, and we'll get there. What are the thoughts on the 40K of 80K Bitcoin? Waking up from 2000. Yeah, so a bunch of Bitcoin, an old wallet moved on the 4th of July. People are alleging it's potentially Roger Ver or Ross Ulbright. We'll get to that. But yeah, that is definitely probably the biggest news. The 4th of July.
Actually, we can talk about it now since the person mentioned it. So yeah, we had Sani post on X. Over the past 10 hours, this individual has moved 40,000 Bitcoin, a huge amount that is set untouched for 14 years. So, 2011, something like that. He has still 20,000 Bitcoin to move. Still hesitant about revealing who he is. Stay tuned. And somebody said, why would you reveal who it is? It doesn't seem very nice, which is true. And the legal issues. Well,
I mean, this is the best advertisement for Monero. It's moments like these, right?
Which takes me to this post.
Can you imagine? Yeah, like it being broadcast when $10 million worth of gold went from some person to another person. Like this is not how digital gold is meant to function.
No,
Ricardo put a good post. What did he say?
Yeah. So, you replied with shit. That was me. That's funny. But Flufflypony just said, basically over the past 10 hours, an unknown individual has moved an unknown amount of Monero that's set untouched for an unknown amount of time. We have no idea how much Monero still has to move and how it's supposed to be. And for maybe the new people, besides just the fact that you want privacy, you really want fungibility. Because if you don't have fungibility, then again, if you have $1 and then that dollar belonged to, I'm just gonna say Trump, whatever, some political figure or somebody famous, it would be worth more than $1 from me. And that's basically what happens when you don't have privacy. It becomes Bitcoins can have different prices, and there's even a virgin. I think there still is a virgin market for like virgin Bitcoins with no transactions, because fresh ones, I would believe, and I think they are worth more than ones that have been used in by the North Korean hackers, by Lazarus or whatever their name is. So,
and this really highlights also the not just the privacy flaw, but the unconfiscatability and censorship resistance, right? The fact that you could see who's Bitcoin when it's moving, you can figure out whose it is, you could see where they're moving it to. Now it's not as censorship resistant as it could be if nobody even saw that, right? Because now people can see that you're trying to send Bitcoin from one person to another, and you know who these people are, right?
Yep.
And then the confiscatability, right? So now you know that these people actually have the Bitcoin, who they are, that they're actively moving it. Now you can go find them and try to extract their Bitcoin and take it away from them. So it's much more than privacy adds to all these other elements, all these other features about confiscatability, censorship resistance, and it's a big flaw that's being highlighted. Like some of the OG, who knows whose wallet that one day, who knows? Maybe we do see Satoshi's wallets move at some point.
That'll be
What a
interesting.
stir that will cause. Yeah.
Yeah. One time somebody made a huge thread post about Jack Dorsey being a potential candidate, a Satoshi Nakamoto candidate, and he had all these facts. Who knows? Who knows who this person is? If the person is alive, he, she, they, whatever. Yeah, but yeah, just the fact like we can type this. I can copy paste it because it's an image, but we can just type it in by hand and find this person, see where the bitcoins are.
It also really adds to Monero's stability versus Bitcoin, right? So because you can't have these revelations of Monero's moving and who they might be moving to and how much, the market can't get disrupted and swayed by this news. It's like a whole element that doesn't exist for purposes of like pumping or dumping, you know?
Yeah, that's very true. Like if Satoshi's wallet moved, that's probably going
it's
to
like game over. It's gonna go to like it's gonna go to like there's gonna be a huge, it'd probably be the largest scare ever. It's like in Bitcoin, there'd be a tremendous drop, I would think.
The biggest
unless he's sending some kind of message that that he's here to stay and he's never selling his Bitcoin, maybe. But just the pure movement of Satoshi's coins would definitely rock everything.
What if I was thinking like, what if when Bitcoin, because I believe at some point it is going to fail just because of when the last Bitcoin is going to be mined, all the transaction fees, all this stuff. I wonder if, I don't know, I mean, obviously Satoshi would not be alive. What if he gave the key to somebody and just as a statement before it dies, it moves the Bitcoin, and it's just, I don't know, all kinds of scenarios. But it actually takes me into two news. It's a good segue. The first one is crypto billionaire bits off kidnapper's finger during ambush, which was last year. And so this guy, Tim Heath, crypto billionaire, he lost a tooth, but he took a finger. Like he took a finger of a kidnapper in Estonia in a 30-second struggle. This guy, he's an Australian crypto billionaire, Tim Heath, and he was in Estonia. I think he has a company in Estonia, YOLO Group, that he founded. And there were these men that wanted to, steal his crypto. And so there was a kidnapping attempt in Estonia. He narrowly escaped by quite literally biting off the index finger of the attacker, and the index finger was found on the floor. Which is, damn, what a bite! And he lost his tooth. But this guy he's a long-time crypto investor. He was attacked by two men posing as painters in the stairwell of his apartment building in July of last year. We did talk about a couple crypto kidnappings in 2025. I've heard a lot of stories in London, especially after COVID, that criminals got more up to date. Wouldn't say smarter, just more up to date, and now they're going for your crypto as well. So you'd walk in London, I suppose, and then they just pull up the knife, open your phone, you have a Coinbase, you have whatever. Okay, just give it to me. And then if you're famous like Tim Heath, or if people know you have crypto, then you are a target. It's interesting. One of the attackers, Azerbaijani national Alahverdiev, I think that's how you say his name. He's a former boxer and wrestler, and he tried to silence Heath by placing a hand over his mouth. Fucking Chad.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. So he took it, but one of the attackers was a boxer. They're saying the attackers, right?
Yes, one of the attackers was a former boxer, and
this dude took him out, bit his finger off.
Just literally bit his finger
That's
off.
pretty
Like he
badass.
was found.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just what humans do when they find
He's fighting for his
themselves in
life.
a dark situation. Yeah.
Really?
So he lost a tooth. This guy lost a finger. I think it's easier to get a tooth back than get the finger back. So that's a win. And so the plot, I guess it was months in the making. They did
obviously, once again, privacy is security, right? I mean, obviously, It's known that this guy was whatever billionaire or something.
Yep.
But the fact that you could potentially know how much Bitcoin he has and the wallets it's in, and whatnot,
it just makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there were 7 kidnappers actually, and they put a GPS tracker on his vehicle, all this stuff, like in the movies. And this is kind of funny. So okay, they also use forged Georgian passports. Some are from Georgia, and they purchased painters' uniforms, all kind of stuff to pose as workmen. And then the plan was to transport this guy Heath to a rented sauna house nearby. So and force him to transfer over his crypto holdings. I guess they were just going to push him in the sauna, crank it up, and then if you don't give us your
who
crypto,
knows?
then...
They were gonna torture him. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, I think that was pretty. Funny, not funny, but
Thank God
yeah, so
he
he's
got away.
okay. And then one of the guy, I guess the boxer, he stole the cord. Of course, he had to conjure some lie. So he said he was promised 100,000 euros, $118,000 approximately for a kidnapping, but he only pretended to do something and later told everyone involved to abort the plan. So, yeah, that was this interesting story. Now, since we talked about Monero keeps...
You need Trump to make an announcement like death penalty if you try to steal any U.S. citizens.
I
crypto
wouldn't mind
in a violent way. That'd be pretty badass.
Yeah. I actually wouldn't mind if they bring back the death sentence, because some people, they're just so dark.
I mean,
that
obviously the punishment should, whatever.
Well, ideally,
not getting into that. That's not happening. I mean, the point is that, these things will change, right? We've always had billionaires and millionaires that could be approached in life, but the difference is when you approach them, they don't necessarily have a bearer asset on them where they can just think, oh yeah, here you go, here's $10 million. It's like, all right, well, I don't have anything on me. Here's my credit card, but I'm probably just gonna block it, and I have $1,000 of cash in my wallet.
Good point.
It's not like, all right, well, we'll call the bank and have them make a transfer. That doesn't work. But when you have crypto, you can just click a button and send it. So, I mean, what really needs to happen is obviously there just needs to be more overall better security among users, where it basically becomes known that when you do approach somebody, even if they're known to be somebody with crypto, odds are, I mean, they don't have it on their person and they don't have access to it, right? Like, that should be the known, that should be the standard, right? It should be that nobody can ever approach you, put a gun to your head, and because you have your phone on you, you now have access to $100 million in crypto. It needs to be known that that's not the standard, and nobody does that. And until that changes, you're going to continue to see these types of things. But there's no reason why, especially if you're using Monero, crypto can be done in a more safe manner. You just got to make it so you don't have access to your crypto, just a small amount at any given time.
Yeah, it's interesting because now, like you said, you can literally walk with all your wealth in your pocket.
Right.
Whereas before, you might have a Rolex or something, you can give them the Rolex, but now they can just request. And yeah, it's crypto. So if with Zelle, even if you have your bank account, you can just sell, I think, $1 million or, use any payment system. So with crypto, it's very easy. Yep.
I'm sure we'll see some more, inventions in the space of security and whatnot, things that will come out as a means to thwarting these types of attacks.
Yeah, I'm sure as well. Now, this takes me into, we talked about Monero. I want to talk about Monero FCMP++ optimization contest divisors submission, which achieves a approximate 30x speed up in blinds calculations on the proving side, potentially eliminating the need for a blinds cache. It's a bit technical, but yeah, and it's pending further review. This could significantly boost transaction efficiency. 30x, that's crazy. It's not just 2, 5, or 10x, it's 30x. And then it's like RB Runner said, was it a monumental speed up? Very surprising. And then Justin Berman said, yes, appears to be using a mathematical method I hadn't heard of before and deserves to be known as the standard method of polynomial interpolation, which... And Bawdy said, I would like to know who this chat is, respect if they want to stay private, though. And then I want to go here, and then so I can show you guys the chat a little bit, because it's pretty interesting to read. So Justin Berman, he wrote, divisor submission so far looks very solid, pending further review. Initial benchmark locks in at 95% plus speed up. We may not end up needing a blinds cache. And then Synthetic Bird said, holy moly, Rockanium 95% wow. How much does this operation account for out of the whole transaction verification? And then if we go lower, RB Runner, just to be clear, it's almost twice as fast as the code is now. Rockanium said, oh, and then Justin Berman said, like 30 times as fast. And then Kaya Nerve said too, no, it's 30x, and everybody, Ginger, Polo said, wow, Synthetic Bird said, wow. It's quite a nice moment to see here with the devs. But such a huge change.
Yeah, we had the show on it a couple of weeks ago, and we had obviously Diego. I'm forgetting the other gentleman's name who came on, who's one of the new researchers. He's the one that did this, that was doing the research work on the divisors. But what happened here is, right, they had some kind of where people who submitted this improvement. It's somebody anonymous. We don't know who it is. Do we know who made the improvement, made the breakthrough?
They were talking about, I don't think we do, because they were talking about, if I scroll up or down, somebody, maybe Justin mentioned, do we know this person, or is there any information on this person? I know they talked about.
Okay, so yeah, we could maybe I'll have Justin Berman on this week. Maybe I could try to get him on this week, or somebody. We can do a show on this. This is obviously a huge development. So we're all kind of on our heels, or we weren't sure what was going to happen with full chain membership proof implementation. There were fears that it might get delayed, but that was really kind of FUD. It was just, there was some extra time needed with analyzing the efficacy of using these divisors, or whatever they're called. And there was initially a fear that they couldn't be proven, but eventually they figured it out. Didn't really add too much time to the timeline. I don't know, maybe we lost a few months or something, maybe not even. So everything was back on track, and now it looks like not only back on track, but now the eventual outcome will be even more grand than we originally thought. So we're going to get full chain membership proofs, but more efficient than even initially imagined in terms of transaction speed. Yeah, so that's
Monero is the Hydra. You just got one head off, and it just grows again and again.
I mean, the devs, the researchers, they'll figure it out, man.
Smart people.
They'll figure this all out. Everything is just going to improve over time as well. I mean, the entire protocol will become more efficient over time. I'm not really worried about scalability.
Imagine the Fed boys getting a document saying, okay, right, for this week, look more into Monero, try to crack it down. They're like, oh shit, the boss, please, no. Let's do something else. We can't do this. Let's go after the people, because this is pointless. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's very smart people.
So epic when full chain membership proofs is implemented. It's gonna be, that's gonna be a great feeling. That's gonna be historic.
Yep.
Historic.
Yeah, it kind of gives me
goosebumps. Yeah, it's gonna be. And I don't know, maybe as early as February. That's what I'm banking on. Monerotopia. That'd be
yeah.
Obviously, who knows? Things will probably end up taking longer, I'm sure, but
no pressure, devs. But February will be great.
If you can make it work.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys 2 listings on XMR Bazaar. I love it. A lot of people are posting their houses. We saw the helicopter. We'll show it again. But somebody is selling or renting a stone farmhouse, and I can't. Well, it also says Italy, but it kind of looks like Italy, judging by the style. It's in
Tuscany. Yeah, I was talking about it with Tux. It's in Tuscany, outside of Florence. Looks really nice.
It's really nice. I wish the person provided more pictures, because I want to see the outside of the house. But it's huge. 3 separate buildings, live plus host plus rent, bio pool with aerotherapy and sunset views, pizza oven, outdoor dining for 10 plus guests, 100% privacy, No neighbors in sight. Photovoltaic system. Cool. Heat pump, AC and solar batteries. EcoSmart. That's 4 beds, 4 bathrooms. It's really, really beautiful. So for rent, 46.62 XMR plus 25 XMR for agreement. So 71.62 XMR rent. I wonder for what period of time.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, let me do this. Let me do some math.
No, it's probably we figured it out. We did it before. It's like
You did?
well,
762.
actually, we thought it was for like a month, but it was a lot of money. I think it came to like
No, it's
$22,000.
$22,000.
Yeah. So
Which, let's say, divide by 12, comes to like 1.8K per month.
No, there's no way. That's only 1.8K per month. There's no way.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's no way. Yeah, but it'd be cool to specify. And for sale, it's 1,864.95 Monero, which is.
I mean, what's cool is they're setting it. Yeah, they're setting the price in Monero, which is sick.
Yep. It's
so yeah, you can buy a helicopter and a house. Trust me, I'm thinking about it, Tony.
Figured
about it. Is that a helipad there? Holy shit!
Oh, dude. So let's do a call out between Marble Linux and then what's the other person? Emily Miles. We can get maybe like a discount. We buy both, and then that's where we're gonna have Monerotopia. We have the Clipper. We have a sick house.
Yeah, I don't know who's flying that Clipper though. Somebody's got to learn it. Tony, start practicing.
I
download some software.
Get Flight Simulator on Steam. Start playing.
The first thing that came to my mind when I saw this was the Matrix scene, where
I haven't seen the movie actually.
You never saw the first Matrix?
I know. Yeah. I really gotta watch it.
Wow, dude. That's like Monero Bro 101 material. First,
I know.
Watch the Matrix.
Yeah, I know. I will watch it soon. Yeah, but I do share Bawdy's fear around helicopters.
Yeah, me too.
I do.
I've never been in a helicopter. I've been in a lot of small planes. I was not a pilot like Bawdy, but I've been allowed to sit in the fly a plane next to somebody.
That's cool.
But helicopter, I really don't have. It'd be cool to go in one.
Yeah.
I'd take a helicopter ride. But dude, even though in New York City,
yes, I was gonna say
not too long ago, family went. There was a whole family that was on vacay that went and took a local helicopter ride, and they're trying to ramp them up here in New York for transportation, to the airports. They're trying to make it a thing.
Yeah.
That you get from Manhattan to JFK, you just jump in a helicopter like a taxi.
I mean, sure,
but I don't think it's as popular right now. That there's been some recent crashes, but
yeah. And they also offer. I wanted to do it when I was in New York. They offer, for sure. I think you pay $200 for 15 minutes, and you go in the helicopter and you just fly above Manhattan. It's really beautiful, but I don't know.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, I'm sure I'll do one at some point.
Yeah.
If somebody buys this helicopter, they want to start a Monero.
Cool.
Yeah, a Monero helicab takes you back and forth.
Oh, if that's how you show up to Monerotopia as the opening, that'll be super sick. An Arnold Schwarzenegger scene. Planta said, Bitcoin to me is a big bubble. Nobody uses it for exchange goods or services. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a sec. I have something about that too. So we'll talk about it, Planta. But yeah, so since we talked about XMR Bazaar's mission to grow the Monero circular economy, if you'd like to donate, please go ahead. And also, I'm not logged in, but I swear I liked it. But make sure you like the comment as well, and please donate. It helps. It's an amazing project. It's growing so nice and so fast, and people are posting really big things, like you saw, helicopters, just beautiful big houses. It's really gaining in popularity. So your support would mean a lot, and please do any amount you can. And you also get a donor badge on your profile. So you get a supporter, resistor, liberator, or the founding father if you donate 10 plus Monero for a great cause.
Yeah, we launched this fundraiser at PorkFest. I'm getting flashbacks because we put these tweets together and finalized everything literally as I was driving back up to PorkFest after driving all the way down to New York. And I'm do not text and drive, folks. Was working I got a lot of work done on that trip. But this is great. The campaign has been quite successful. I think we have over 12 XMR that have been donated. Somebody anonymously sent us 5. And they weren't even on the XMR Bazaar platform, so they didn't even get a badge. They just anonymously sent a donation. So that was very, very kind of them. And then everybody else that's donated, thank you all. And I feel like people appreciate the badges. They're definitely wearing it like a badge of honor. And it is a great way to, it's a great signal to show that you're a good actor, right? If you're some asshole looking to cause chaos in the community and you're not there to really be a part of a free and open, ethical free market, then you're probably not going to be donating, getting one of these badges. So it's a good way to kind of build up trust and reputation. Obviously, somebody could try to fool. I'm sure, don't use the badge as the final indicator if somebody's trustworthy or not, because I'm sure we'll see that as well.
We're gonna get the feds being founding fathers.
Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, no founding fathers yet. Would love to see a founding father step up. Come on, who's gonna be? I mean, that is pretty cool. You get the heart. That'll be a very rare badge to have. I imagine there'll only be, maybe one of those. Who knows? So
one day we're gonna have like 10 founding fathers from Area 51, the Pentagon, and that's gonna be the IP.
We're asking for 60 XMR, but honestly, that's we really did not waste one pico in terms of development and how we've been running very tight operation. 60 XMR got us to this point, which is quite a lot. I mean, we were developing this thing it launched last year, and we were developing it for at least a year before then. So there's a lot of work has gone into this. Anarchio, he's not nearly getting the value that he deserves. Obviously, he's been getting the entire time, but given the amount of value he's created, it's really been, we've been getting a good deal. So the 60 XMR is really going to help us. It's going to bring us back to break even. And then as we move forward, we should be, in the positive, because now we've added some revenue features with boosts and bonds, and we have some other ideas. So the revenue we get from that should then kind of keep us in the positive moving forward in terms of covering our costs for continued development. Because XMR Bazaar is not like a one and done. We reach some stable point and we're done. I mean, there's endless things we can do on this platform. When you think about what we're trying to do here, we're trying to build out a global Monero circular economy. So it should feel like you're using Uber or Airbnb or Amazon or eBay, right? And bringing all those services into one network so that we get the network effect and get as many people as possible, many users as possible, because that's really where the value is going to come from. And always maintaining it maintaining the peer-to-peer nature of it. And nobody's really done it yet. Nobody's really nailed it with the marketplace yet. Obviously, we've seen dark markets, but there has not been a successful crypto-based peer-to-peer market that's really taken off. And XMR Bazaar seems to be right place, right time. And it's focused on Monero, and it makes sense for Monero to be the crypto to use for this purpose. Bitcoin, they tried it. Open Bazaar was the attempt, and for various reasons it failed. One of them being, Bitcoin not being suitable for it, right? The transaction fees got too high, too fast. There were other reasons too. And then obviously people started treating Bitcoin like, digital gold, where they just want to hoard it instead of use it. Monero, people use Monero because they get value out of using it. It actually makes sense to use because it is anonymous and private. It makes sense to go out of your way and pay with a tool that does that. doesn't make sense to go out of your way and pay with Bitcoin when you're paying like $5 in transaction fees and people can see your transactions and now you have a history. Like, why transact with that, right? Whereas Monero, it perfectly fulfills this use case. And so I think XMR Bazaar is right place, right time with using the right crypto. And we're just seeing real organic adoption because it makes, you get value out of selling your homemade strawberry rhubarb jam, as we're seeing here, with Monero versus selling it on eBay using PayPal, right? I don't need to explain what the value is there. It should be obvious, right? You're doing it outside of the state surveillance system. It's like selling it at a garage sale or selling it at a farmer's market, and it's cash based. And you keep all the Monero. There's no transaction fees. So good stuff. This rhubarb looks delicious.
Yeah, it's good. Like when you were talking, I was just scrolling and I saw this, and then I saw, I'm not sure if this is Bawdy Zebra.
Yeah,
sure
is that
actually Bawdy?
I don't know. Yeah,
but
made a generous donation as well. I think it was a 1XMR. Yeah, he's got a supporter badge. I think that's the Liberator badge.
That's cool. If it is Bawdy, I guess Bawdy did get this gem. It looks
yeah, I mean,
good.
so yeah, look, this is a
Yeah.
great example, right? Because you see this homemade strawberry rhubarb, and then like you said, it looks delicious. But all right, are you going to send somebody 0.16 Monero and hope they send it to you? Well, you scroll down and you see this Bawdy account, which is a trusted account, saying they've successfully purchased. So that's a pretty good indicator at that point that you're probably going to get your rhubarb in the mail if you send it. Obviously, next level up from that is if the seller purchases a bond. We've launched bonding. I haven't really pushed it yet just because I want to work out the tweaks, but it's there. It's up and running if people want to start to use it. And I think it's going to take off. And so imagine now the seller was bonded and you see that they have a 1 Monero bond. Now you're really not going to worry at all when you go to make the purchase because, if they don't send the rhubarb, you can just collect on the bond.
Really nice. So. Bawdy said, not me. I've never been a zebra. It's funny.
Well, super thank you to whoever that is because they've been very generous and they've been a great contributor to XMR Bazaar. All right, man.
Yep. Moving on. So this is in Lebanon, and somebody told his friend who owns a small alcohol shop to accept Monero, and his friend now accepts Monero in Lebanon for alcohol, which is cool. So that's
we're seeing growing adoption there, right? There's a couple of guys there, Monero users. We have the ice cream guy. Oh no, the ice cream guy's in Jordan, right? We have
the
Battery,
donut guy is
right?
from Lebanon. Oh, cool.
I thought
he just stuck a bunch of Monero stickers. That's cool.
Yeah. So whoever this, get them on XMR Bazaar as well. Get them on XMR Bazaar. Post them as Monero accepting businesses. The
Faststone said, tell your friend that he's a super cool dude and that I wish him development and many buyers of his goods for XMR. That's awesome. I love when they come on the show. It's really cool. But sometimes you need a translator, which can be a bit difficult, but it's cool.
That's the other thing too with XMR Bazaar, trying to make it more kind of user friendly per area, per geography, right? So like an English version of the platform, a Spanish version, different troll boxes for each. Obviously, I want people to be able to see all listings, not just geographic. Obviously, I mean, we make it where people can sort by areas.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right now, it's only like natively in English, right? So even just translating, having it pop up in Spanish and different languages and whatnot. So it's all there. We just got to launch that. So we'll be focusing on that as well.
Did you get to talk to Ross Ulbricht about XMR Bazaar? Did you get to show him?
Did I tell you the story? Were you here when I told the story? I did run into him, which is really cool because I think very few people actually were able to get a moment with him. I just got lucky. I kind of saw an opportunity. And I went off from the tent. I kind of picked it up before anybody else did. And I tried to basically bump into him as he was walking to go to the main stage, because he really kind of was just brought in securely with security. And then like the idea he was just going to give his talk and leave. But I was lucky enough to bump into him. And I tried to give him a no-no. But he didn't know what it was. I mean, I wanted to be fast with him because I didn't want to be rude. He was going to be inundated with people. So I was just very polite. I was like, hey, Ross, just want to, shake your hand, say thank you for all you've done. And I'm like, by the way, I'm Doug Tuman. I'm giving a talk right after yours. I'll be talking about Monero and XMR Bazaar. And I don't know the exact words he said, but basically it was like to the effect of, you're doing things the right way now.
Oh,
like,
wow. That's
referring
a nice
to right. Like, so he did his dark market. Obviously, we applaud him for doing it and the experiment he did, and that he was, acting as an agorist, right? And he just wanted to see what would happen with a free market. But the fact is, there were a lot of illegal things that were sold on there, right? And I think overall he regrets, especially given the fact that he was put in jail for 10 years, that he partook in that experiment. But obviously he's a believer in free markets and wants to see, a positive version of that. And that's what XMR Bazaar is striving to be. So it sounded like he knew about it, because that's all I said. So unless you just put two and two together, like the term XMR Bazaar, and just knew exactly, what I must be referring to, or if he actually knew the website itself, I do not know.
It must have been such a good feeling moment too, because because he's the originator of Silk Road, and for him to say that to you, that you were doing the right thing, like I got jailed.
It was surreal. It was surreal.
I went through so much, and you're doing it. Must be like, it's kind of like if Satoshi talked to the XMR devs, like, you guys are doing good.
It was a surreal moment, and I'd love to, maybe get more access to him. Maybe we could get him to come participate in XMR Bazaar, like,
Yeah, you did good. You did great, though.
Help steer the project. Yeah, maybe I could get him to help, like, steer the project. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah, but I think you did the right thing, because when people are overwhelmed, the best thing to do is just, hey, I want to shake your hand. Thank you for what you did. 2-3 words, done. No matter how much you want to say. Yeah. But yeah, so now let's talk about, Doc's already talked about Proton and Monero, but I'm just going to go over it pretty quickly. So basically, we wanted to get Monero on Proton, and David Peterson, which is the general manager, from what I've seen on LinkedIn, said the following. So he said, here's the deal. So Proton already takes payments via cash and prepaid debit cards. Bitcoin is supported directly. The other top 10 cryptocurrencies via third parties. Monero support has been on the roadmap for a while. But ultimately, it comes down to relative priorities. We've got a long list of what people want out of Proton. So what is the most important thing for us to focus our attention on? Basically, he was trying to say, is it worth it to get Monero? Is it going to be used? Because he said it seems that it's always the same people, the same profiles that are asking for Monero to be on Proton. And then after, ultimately, he said the following, which is, if someone gets an online petition together with 1,000 people saying they'd switch to Proton VPN if we support Monero, then I guarantee that I'll get a crowbarred into the summer roadmap. And Tox just dropped the petition. And then if we go back, it got signed pretty quickly. It went from, we hit 50, we hit 100, to, we're done. And then if we go back to this post, it's funny, David Peterson just replied with, bahaha, nice, let's do this. So, Tox, you're a legend, that's awesome. That's super cool. That's super cool stuff. Now, quickly, Cape Wallet, they have the decentralized euro, which, don't worry, it doesn't come from Ursula. It's different, and they give you 10% APR. Now you may question how to get the 10% APR, and you can also go in this explanation that they give, so that you can look into it, see where the yield comes from. And A Fungible asks, asked, is dEuro compatible with upcoming Euro CBDC? To which they replied, not at all. The decentralized euro is completely decentralized euro stablecoin, over-collateralized, not depending on oracles, and real censorship resistant. So you can look into it.
Yeah, that sounds super cool. That sounds super cool. Maybe maybe Tux can give us some more info on that.
Yep.
Either now or at the end. And then also I see Anon tipped 4 cents. Was Cake Wallet built-in Tor support got mentioned yet? No, yes, that was another big update that happened this week. So now there's native Tor support in Cake Wallet, which is great for actually the Nodo, for the Monero Nodo, because now it becomes super easy to set up your Monero Nodo without having to mess with ports or anything if you're trying to access your Nodo outside of your own Wi-Fi. Because you just run the Nodo on Tor, which is a click of a button on the Nodo itself. And then you can just connect to the Nodo via Cake Wallet, via the Nodo Tor node. And then on Cake, you could just run natively on Tor, and then everything will just work. And now you're connected to your own node via Tor. That's pretty stealth. So now nobody knows you're using Monero when you're using it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now I have 3 more things, and that's it. Somebody mentioned Bitcoin a little bit and how it's becoming more just a store of value. So let's talk about it a little bit. So Bitcoin, somebody wrote on Reddit, Bitcoin is becoming more a part of the system it was meant to circumvent every single day, which a lot of us know. And he went on to say, from what I read, from what I hear, Bitcoin custody is becoming increasingly dependent on centralized entities like banks and fund managers. This is classic frog in the boiling water. The idea that Bitcoin will go up in value takes precedent in any rational thought to most investors. Bitcoin is surveillance, Monero is privacy, fight back, forget price, remember utility. And then, which is a very good point, look at the top 20 cryptos and see if there's any possible justification for the market caps compared to how much value transfer it facilitates. And say Monero is the only thing that ever comes close, and the same has been true for almost a decade, invest in utility. When people say like, what's the value proposition of Monero? Should I invest in Monero? Like, do your research, look into it, but it has the best value proposition, which is the freedom to do whatever you want without anybody knowing what you do with your money is the biggest freedom, which ties into so many things. So this is what Monero is. It's huge. It's the biggest value proposition. It's very, very undervalued if we talk about price. We don't focus on price, but it's nice the more it goes up. That means that more people are using it, transaction count, all this stuff. It's good stuff, but we are definitely not the 100K laser eyes. Actually, I wonder what's the next. I guess it's $1 million, two laser eyes, or what is it now? I don't know. But yeah, we talk about this almost every show. It's like an echo chamber to us. But if anybody's new, it's good to mention again. But Bitcoin is just for institutions, just Michael Saylor's world. It's not doing what it should be doing. Monero is the upgrade, is the next thing. So yeah. Now moving on, I'm gonna mention a bit from Ray Dalio. He talked about the big beautiful bill that has been passed by Congress. I think on July 4th. I think he signed it yesterday. And basically, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm gonna go to this one, which is somebody said, just Grok explained this to a 10-year-old, and Grok just said, imagine the government is like a big family that spends way more than it earns for $7 for every $5 it gets. So it borrows a ton, and now each family owes about $230,000. Soon it'll be $425,000. So kind of double. To fix it, they might cut things, raise allowances, taxes, or print more. Basically, it's not good stuff. When you spend way more than you have, it's not good. But I'm not
right, and so now the Democrats do it when they're in office. The Republicans do it when they're in office. It's just it's all a big show.
Which is this picture right here? If you can see it,
There you go.
Pretty much.
There you
If
go.
you guys can see it, if you're an X just listening, it's basically
And
it's the
then,
person
I would
bifurcated. The left is support Democrats, the right is support Republicans, and they all increase national debt no matter what.
Yeah.
So
I would say the other big insight was content that Derek Bros was putting out, just how in the bill itself, a bunch of surveillance, pro-surveillance tech stuff is part of that bill. So it's like another win for the surveillance state, right? So this bill isn't only putting us into more debt and whatever, just, it's also taking away our liberty in other ways directly through the surveillance tech initiatives that will be supported.
aren't they working with Palantir? I think they have contracts with Palantir or some
Oh,
company.
yeah,
and
of
then
course.
they want
I'm
to
sure-
create this database of
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure there's a large chunk of funding that's coming out of this bill that's going directly to Palantir.
Perfect.
Yeah.
God. I'm not sure if you read
Neil-
the nihilist. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, now it's to the $1.23. Congrats on forcing Proton to implement XMR. Normally, I just not pay services that don't accept Monero. Glad to see that they now are going to do it. Cheers. Time to make change.org petitions to put XMR back on centralized exchanges. Yeah, there you go. There's a good one. Tux, run with that one.
Just keep going.
Right? Do it. Do it, Tux.
We're gonna
Well,
get
you
so big.
actually want that?
Yeah. I'm sure Mav will be all about it.
Mm.
I'm sure that whole
Tux is gonna
sector.
keep going.
I mean,
We're
why
gonna open
not?
Bank of America.
Let's show Coinbase how many people want to be able to purchase Monero on there.
Yeah.
Another controversial week of Monero pro
Definitely
Monero adoption.
not a
No,
straight
why are we
comparison
asking?
for
Yeah.
accepting Proton accepting Monero. The implications of that obviously are much different.
It's a different. Well, it definitely will help adoption, right? But in a different way.
Yeah, there's more potential issues with the exchange, of course. I mean, Coinbase is probably a better one, but we saw what Binance was doing.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Printing
So it just depends.
Moneros.
But kind of
Can we
our
put a
point.
stippy-
Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, can we put a stipulation in it saying, only if they show proof of reserves? Do we want you to list it? Sign this petition.
Oh, that'll be good. I think we're asking too much now. You want Monero and that?
We want it listed with proof of reserves.
And Brian Armstrong blocked you. Yeah. Okay, so last thing. I'm going to play this. This is the current front runner for New York City Mayor. I haven't looked too much into this. But let's play this video. And then, Doug, if you have anything to say.
Okay.
What the purpose is about this entire project, it's not simply to raise class consciousness, but to win socialism. And obviously raising class consciousness is a critical part of that. But making sure that we have candidates that both understand that and are willing to put that forward at every which moment that they have, at every which opportunity that they're given. We have to continue to elect more socialists. And we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right, or whether it's the end goal of ceasing the means of production, where we do not have the same level of support at this very moment. And what I want to say is that it is critical that in the way that we organize, in the way that we set up our work and our priorities, that we do not leave any one issue for the other, that we do not meet a moment and only look at what people are ready for, but that we are doing both of these things in tandem, because it is critical for us to both meet people where they're at and to also organize for what is correct and for what is right, and to ensure that over time we can bring people to that issue. The ramifications of victory here is the difference between life and death for so many of our brothers, sisters, and family beyond the binary across this borough of Queens. It's the difference between having cash bail anymore or not. It's the difference between having sex work be decriminalized and not. And with every battle that we fight as socialists, we need to remember what the stakes are and ground ourselves in them and why those stakes are important and critical to us as individuals.
Okay. So
So first off,
socialist?
oh my God, yes, he's basically a communist. I don't know if you heard the line where he said he wanted the end goal of seizing the means of production. First off, I don't know. I don't know if it's verified that this is actually like a real video. I mean, I don't think it certainly doesn't look like AI, but I think it's just they're saying this is like an old video of his when he was running for city council, I believe.
The background is kind of
it could potentially be fake.
No, it's just like he's kind of. I guess he's trying to. I don't think it is world, or I don't know what he's trying to do there with that.
Well, he's an extreme socialist, right? So the end goal of seizing the means of production of society. He wants the government to control, private industry. That's a pretty extreme view. He mentioned the no cashless bail. That's been a tremendous failure in New York State. So we have tons of criminals out on the streets. I mean, the city is kind of never been. I mean, it's. I can't say never been worse because it's been pretty bad historically. I mean, I wasn't around in like the 70s and stuff, but you hear it was really bad then, and like in the 80s. But right now, New York City is not living up to its full potential right now. The subways are disgusting, the streets are disgusting, everything. You don't feel safe. If this guy wins and implements his policies, that's only going to get worse. He's going to take funding away from the police, things like that, and then he's going to be pro-socialist programs. He's going to be essentially pro-criminal instead of pro-police. And it's just going to be downhill from there. He wants to do government-sponsored, government-owned supermarkets. These are things I've actually heard him talk about. He wants to essentially take properties away from landlords in New York and create like more publicly owned housing. So, it's like the kid running for school president saying, I want to make the vending machines all free for all the kids all day. Like, obviously that kid is going to win the election, but are those good policies for a school? No, right? So he's just winning over the population by saying he wants to, make housing really cheap and give a lot of stuff away and all these social programs. And so all the Dems in New York that would benefit from these things are going to vote for him.
What I'm going to say about this is we live in a very crucial time, I would say, because this would be the last generation of people that went through communism in Europe, Holocaust survivors, so people that can actually tell the stories, because people tend to forget how it was in communism, and it shows with what they voted in Europe for all these lunatics of the extreme. People tend to forget, and it just happened not too long ago that we had communism and all these things. So we live in it's kind of scary, and it's kind of just dumb that history can repeat itself just like that.
Yeah, actually, I just did a Monero talk with somebody who presented at MoneroCon on Ayn Rand and her philosophies. She was a Russian philosopher. She came out of Russia in the early 1900s. She moved to the U.S. and she basically is known for objectivism, but she, her core, she was a capitalist, like an uber capitalist, and she talks about all the philosophical reasons why capitalism is good for humanity, essentially, and good for individuality and allowing people to reach their full potential in life. So yeah, she would be turning in her grave if she saw that this guy was about to get elected to be the New York City mayor. She lived out the final days of her life in New York. So yeah, it's pretty wild. obviously it doesn't help, with Trump in office, right? So it's like these kind of things happen, right? So now you have the people kind of rebelling and going for the other extreme, right? Trump kind of represents one extreme. This guy represents the other end of the spectrum, and he may very well take over New York City. Could you imagine? And then with Trump in office at the same time, I mean, it's going to be.
It's very
popcorn ready. I will say that. And the Republican candidate that's running, Sliwa, he doesn't get a lot of backing from the establishment, which is unfortunate to see. He won the primary. He ran for mayor last election as well. He obviously didn't win. This time he won. He won the Republican primary, and now it looks like he should have a very real shot given who he's running against. There is going to be a large swath of New Yorkers that may even be Democrat that are not going to want to put up with this guy. Like, yeah, they're Democrat, but they're not socialists. They're not communists. And they're seeing how bad New York has gotten recently. They don't want more left-wing policies. They don't want more wokeism. They just kind of want more middle of the road. They're Democrats. So you would think somebody like Sliwa would have potential to win in that type of scenario, but he's not. He doesn't get a lot of support from the establishment, really because he's an outsider. He's an old school New Yorker. He runs. He has his own radio show. He's very well known in the New York scene. I forget the name of the group that he started when he was in his 20s, where basically they went around the community in New York, like cleaning up neighborhoods, like volunteers, and that would keep neighborhoods safe. He did this in the 80s, and he'd go into like really bad neighborhoods and like try to keep the neighbor, just be active citizens. So he's a real OG, heart is in the right place, really knows New York, and is a Republican, has, a lot of conservative ideals, but yet he appears to have no chance because the establishment doesn't like him. Even the Republicans don't like him because he's so much, he's a renegade. He's a real renegade, which in my mind, I think that's what you want in politics. But the reason why you never see them is because they get destroyed by the establishment. So that's, if you're wondering why, like, why don't we have more renegades out there? Because they don't let them win. I ran here for Congress. I know what it was like. You have these large, powerful forces that are trying to stop you, even potentially those that are supposed to be helping you. So you're seeing that with this Sliwa, that he's not getting the support of the establishment, which is unfortunate. I may try to help. I'm going to reach out to him. I did reach out to him. I want to see if I can get him going on crypto stuff. Maybe we could do an event at like PubKey and have him attend and get his opinions on cash and digital cash. I think he has made statements about cash itself in New York. He's pro cash, right? Like, he wants small businesses to always be able to have access to cash. So that's important. So maybe we can get him to kind of understand the Monero concept and get his opinions on that and things like the bit license. Obviously, as mayor, he really has no role in eliminating the bit license. It's a state regulation, not a city regulation. But he could show, just that political favor towards wanting to eliminate it. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. We'll see where this goes. But it's pretty wild that this guy will likely become our mayor.
Oh, well, I hope not. But last thing that I'm going to say about this is that historically, when people are so fed up about what's happening politically, they just go for somebody in the extreme comes, and usually they're a very good orator. They speak very well. Hitler was one of them, Trump and all these people. And then people vote for them, even though they're, in the extreme. But they just want something completely different. And these people do, like, when Trump came in, he really shook things up. Like, if we had the same people, they would just continue what's been happening and whatever. But these people really do shake things up, and usually when they do get in power, it's not good stuff. But it's interesting then, like how much can be done if you are a good person, like just how much cleaning can be done in all departments. But yeah, hopefully, when do we know when you're gonna have the new mayor?
The election's in November.
November,
So this
okay.
is just the primary that happened. So he won the primary. He won the Democratic primary. So he's the front runner because there's a hell of a lot more Democrats in New York. So traditionally, whoever wins the Democratic primary goes on to win the mayorship. Obviously, we've had some Republicans in the past. We had Giuliani. We have Bloomberg, who was independent. Adams, he's running as an independent, so he didn't even partake in the primary. So if Adams probably would have lost the primary to this guy, the Democratic primary. So he's running as an independent, and he's supported by Trump, which is pretty crazy. Like Trump isn't vocally supporting Sliwa, which is absurd, which is crazy.
Oh, he is. You said he is.
I don't think he is. No, he's not. He's not supporting He's supporting Adams. Trump is supporting a Democrat. He's supporting Adams because he likes Adams, because Adams kind of like sided with him on the immigration policy stuff, right? Kind of said, Trump is right. We need to fix things. After he saw the city go to shit because of the amount of immigrants that were flowing into New York, and just not having the resources to handle them. So then he politically aligned with Trump on that, and has had his back ever since, which is pretty crazy. So we shall see. I would like to see this Sliwa guy get more publicity and really make a go for it. So I will be reaching out. I did reach out to his campaign manager, so we'll see. Maybe I can get him on the show and we can give him some support.
That'll be cool. That'd be really cool. But that'll be it for the news section. I know.
All right, then.
Talk us to go, so you guys can go into the viewers on stage.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Covered a lot.
Yep.
I'd say let's roll right into viewers on stage. Make it literally a 15-minute one, and then call it a day. And we're at 1:30, which was my original target to get back to family time over here. I appreciate you guys taking your family time as well. I know it's a holiday weekend, so thanks, Tony.
This is the family. This is the second family, so it's good.
Thank you, Bawdy. I know exactly. I'm gonna check in.
It's the other family.
As well. An important one.
All right. Yeah. All right. Awesome, guys. Well, have a good weekend. Enjoy, and we'll see you guys next week.
Have a good one.
Bye.
All right. 300 live views. Guys, like and share. We'll round it out here. We'll do a quick viewers on stage, see if there's anybody that needs to report anything, any developments. Now's the time to come speak your piece. If there's something you want to bring up in Monero land. Tux, are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and run viewers on stage, and we'll literally we'll call it at 1:30, like 10 minutes from now.
All right, so
It's the Viewers on Stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down.
All right, I'm just saying 10 minutes. So, 10 minutes could be Alaska literally just chiming in for his intro.
I do have one question for Tux.
Okay.
What port is the embedded Tor on Cake Wallet using? Because it doesn't say, and I noticed it wasn't interfering with my socks on 9050, so I'm curious.
I don't know, but I don't know why it would interfere because it's internal.
Well, if it had been trying to use 9050, it would have failed because I already had socks running on that port via invisible. The reason I was asking is because while you probably shouldn't use it like this, you could theoretically open Cake Wallet, turn on embedded Tor, and then use that port to connect your other socks applications to, such as Signal or SimpleX or whatever, while to use that as your Tor daemon.
Yeah, the package is definitely not designed for that.
Oh, and also, Doug, I love you. I love your family. But if I've just honestly written off the city of New York. It's just a failure. Just leave.
I know, but if I can't take my whole family with me, that's the problem, man. The
I
family
think
goes
we
deep.
almost got unconvinced with that Italy property, though.
Oh, yeah. That's as close as always.
We'll rent that helicopter from the guy. We'll see if he'll rent it to us, and we'll like get Doug and his family the heck out of New York. We'll like do an emergency rescue, like drop down
Have the
from
chopper ready
down
to
from-
escape at any moment.
like drop down from cables up, like the bungee cables over the apartment building. Come on, Doug, up.
As the communist zombies are coming after us.
The thing is, shortwave cities
We gotta go.
usually have life cycles. So
Yeah.
that they degrade for a while and then they start bouncing back and then they become like the lively, urban center of awesomeness and then they die down again.
Exactly.
I like places like, for example, Detroit are probably gonna like hit this upswing pretty soon as people just see that that's where you can afford a house and that's where you see, you're going to start to see certain places that look like trash right now. It usually takes a long time, though. It's measured in like 20-year cycles, 30-year cycles. So,
Right.
it's just
He'll
part of
come
the
in.
process.
He'll eventually, if this guy gets in and it becomes a thing, yeah, we could see like a decline in real estate property prices for like the first time in a long time in New York. And then, yeah, maybe that eventually brings back the next up phase.
But
Who
Doug,
knows?
you know that these outdoor wilderness areas, they stay nice. They don't ever decline.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes,
give
I
it
know.
thought.
There's
It's
so much value there. Trust me, I know. I know. Guys, anything? Oh, Tux, you want to give us more insight into the euro? What is it called? The dEuro or?
I don't know that much about it, honestly. I don't know really how it works behind the scenes. You can just you can convert some ETH to dEuro and you can stake it and then you can get some interest basically. You put it in savings
Okay.
and then you can collect some interest and it has a pretty high APY. Otherwise I don't really know like what's going on behind the scenes. I didn't look
Okay.
into it that much.
Oh, by the way, if you have fiat denominations turned on in your wallets, I dare you for a month to turn it off. Just go flip it off for a month and do only Monero. No fiat.
So what about those of us who already do?
Oh well, I'm one of you, so I haven't had fiat turned on in my wallets for a long time.
All right, yeah, guys. Any other info you guys want to get out there? Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
I do.
I don't mind doing
one thing that I just want to throw out there for as far as the whole dEuro thing, which I'm not paying attention to either right now, because I do kind of the same thing but with gold. So you remember when you had that guy Keith Weiner on here? I believe remember that guy? He's the monetary metals guy.
Yeah.
He has a lot of really interesting work on a very old concept, which is one of the things that you're looking for in a money supply is that you have mechanisms for generating yield. And that was one of the big things that the United States government did to de-dollarize gold and to like take it out of the currency market and into like the assets market. And generating a return on your investment is crucial. And we've talked about that a little bit when it came to XMR Bazaar and like bonds and all of that, how the bond system could become a way to generate yield after it works first as like a security mechanism. But what would be really interesting is to see to keep moving that ball down the field with XMR Bazaar and turn it into a yield generating Monero based asset. The first step is it has to have a function in the market, though, which if you do one before you do the other, it can only work in one direction. You have to have a bond that actually serves a function in the market, which you're doing, and congratulations and thank you. But then the next step is to then turn that into a yield generating asset, because the need for the bond first creates the existence of the bond, and it's like a reliable, stable way of doing things. And then to go a step further and then to say, okay, well, you can buy bonds on accounts. So you can securitize with bonds. And if somebody wants to activate that security, it has to generate a yield. And then people can invest in bonds that are Monero denominated. And now you have a bond market for Monero, which is part of what makes the dollar what it is today. So I just wanted to point out how the dEuro thing is, it's like a shitty attempt at doing that. I don't know if that's their goal, but what I'm saying is having yield is one of the things that makes a currency what it is. I hate the approach of making that yield like it's fiat based, so it's just another way to stay in the fiat market, versus kind of the XMR Bazaar approach, which is to have a market function and then turn that into a yield generating asset. And now people can build the real economy with a real yield asset.
I would toss 1% of my Monero into a Monero yielding bond. Also, I plan on, once Sarai launches, I plan on putting 1% of my Monero into that as well. That way, it's not like if I lose it and it goes to zero, it's not like bad because it's only 1%, but it still helps.
It also stabilizes the price and reduces risk for people who are in the market. If anybody hasn't looked into how Monetary Metals does it, it is absolutely fascinating. They have like a really clever way of doing it. So for example, they're like, if you're a jewelry store, you have to have a certain amount of inventory in gold, and the bond de-risks the gold supply for the vendor, and then the sale of the gold becomes the way that the bond generates yield. And Monero could very easily replicate a lot of this stuff. We just have to build it out. And that's one of the reasons why when you started with like XMR Bazaar, I could see the potential in this, because first you do want the market, but then you want to stabilize the market and generate yield with that stability. So some people can de-risk if they already hold Monero for the vendors, and then the vendors can stabilize their price, thereby increasing the flow of goods and services through the market. They're like all of these things, even though I have whole shows that I've done with Monero Master about how anti-usury I am. But the thing is risk does carry a negative value. So people who are willing to take that risk should receive a positive value. That was the original idea behind bonds. And you eliminate the usury from it if it's pegged to real stuff. So there is a place for interest-bearing assets in a fair and free market, but we don't have that when it comes to fiat. So generally speaking, bonds are like inherently evil if it's a dollar or if it's a euro or whatever. But to do something like that in gold or Monero makes a lot of sense. And once that exists in the actual market, the next step would be people putting up bonds for, like, let's say mining equipment. So you have a bond for the mining equipment, and then the miners get a certain amount in that yield, and then the equipment go. And that would only work in Monero, by the way. It would never work with an ASIC, but it would work with CPUs. So then you sell those used CPUs back into the market at a discount. And then everybody gains a yield. Everybody is de-risked the transaction. It makes a lot of sense.
All right, we've hit Doug's 1:30 cutoff.
And I will be thinking about these concepts. Base Bob tipped $1. I'll be using XMR Bazaar instead of Etsy or eBay if I make my first sale, I think is what he's trying to say. Awesome. Yeah, you definitely should. No fees taken, no fees to list.
I think he's selling a handmade leather belt, from what I understand, which looks pretty cool.
Okay, yeah, I did see that. I think that was even like boosted.
You can even put stuff like find me on XMR Bazaar for a discount on these like Etsy's and stuff. I don't know if
that's a good
their
idea.
service allow you to do it, but you don't go where the money's at, man. But just promote XMR Bazaar, like pay in Monero on
Right,
XMR
so they check out
Bazaar
there.
for a discount.
That's a great idea. Alaska A9. It's just like talking to AI, man. I mean, you just endless thoughts, ideas, iterations.
It's what I do, man. I just spit out garbage.
You do it well. You do it well. Anything else you want to say, or anybody else want to say anything before we wrap it up?
Nope, let's close it out here.
There.
Use Monero.
Yeah, let's close it out here. Use Monero. Happy Independence Day, guys. Enjoy your family time.
God bless you all.
It's all about it. Yeah. God bless.
Thank you for
Adios.
joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia